0. Hey, so it's Wayne Scully here with W Scully CPA PC. I'm the guy that does tax planning and tax resolution work. I also do tax prep, and that's what my firm specializes in. However, this video is not really about me. It's really about introducing you to my good friend and colleague, Bookkeeper Extraordinaire, Erica Edwards. And she runs 2 companies, the Number Grinder and Ecube Network Accounting. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So, and she's going to talk about herself and what makes her different, what makes her special, and why you should keep your books and why you should hire her to do bookkeeping. Okay, so Erica, so just tell us again, as I said before, I want to know a little bit about you. What made you decide to be a bookkeeper? What makes you special? You know what I mean? Anything that, a little personal flavor in there, you could throw it in there, that's fine. But we want to know what makes you good at what you do, and why you decided to embark on this career in bookkeeping.
Okay. Well, first I just want to say thanks for having me, Wayne. And it's a loaded question because I got my degree in accounting in 2009. So, and I've been working in accounting ever since. So I guess when I was in college, and I took audit, I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. And that's the path that a lot of accountants take. They go into public and do audit.
Right.
And I always knew that I didn't want to do that. So when it came time for me to start working, I ended up getting a role on Wall Street for a broker-dealer company in their accounts receivable department. And I was just basically doing collections and cash application, just making sure that the money came in, invoices were paid. And it was very corporate setting on Wall Street. And then like a month into working there, they ended up getting bought out by New York Stock Exchange, and the company broke into different pieces. And then the broker dealer, some of them went to Bank of New York, and then everybody else went to New York Stock Exchange. And so I went with the people who went to Bank of New York, and I worked in their general ledger department. So I got to see like the ins and outs of like the actual accounting, like the money that came in as well as the money that went out, and then doing like the account analysis, the month-end process, then like getting all the reports together, giving it to the controller to review, getting it to the CEO. And I loved it. Like, it was crazy, but I just felt like I really got an inside scoop in like what was going on with Bank of New York. Like, it was just really cool to that process. So I was like, I want to be in the thick of it. I want to be in the books. So I think that's what really led me into bookkeeping. I mean, like I then didn't want to do corporate anymore because it was just very stressful, but I like being in the thick of it, knowing the ins and outs of people's companies, books. And I'm like, it's because I'm nosy. That's what I say. Because if you take one look at someone's P&L statement, their balance sheet account, it's like, to me, it's just a story of the company. Like, you can see exactly what's going on, just like a quick look at their financial statements, and you basically know what's going on with the company. So that's just what I really love about accounting, and led me into bookkeeping for all these years.
Cool. Yeah, it seems like you're very passionate about what you do. When you tell the audience a little bit about the difference between, say, bookkeeping and accounting. and how you fit in there, and why why bookkeeping and not say accounting, maybe doing like CFO type work or something. Why is the being in the trenches so important to you? You know what I mean?
Yes, that's a good question. I get that a lot actually. Like, what's the difference between bookkeeping and accounting? And I have to say, that the difference is the level of detail. Accounting is more like the high level review that would happen after the bookkeeping is done. The bookkeeping is like the day to day, looking at the transactions and analyzing where things
Yeah,
go.
foundation, right?
Right. It definitely like lays the foundation, and then the accounting work comes in after the bookkeeping, and then you can do like a high level review, a budget review, a month end review of what happened during a certain period of time. So it's very similar, but the bookkeeping is like the more detailed work of accounting, of the accounting world.
So I mean, so you providing your services to small businesses, do you act like kind of like both, or you just literally do the books and like, well, here are your books and that's it? You don't, run the financials, you don't give them any kind of like snapshot.
Oh, no, no, no. I definitely I definitely do both. I think that is a big difference between me and a lot of bookkeepers, because while I do love the bookkeeping and that's what I mostly promote about my business, I do have my accounting degree, and I do have years of experience in accounting. So um I like the bookkeeping so that I can know myself. It gives me a better idea of, what happened and how to give the accounting reports and the financial reports once I do go over everything with my clients. So I do definitely do both, and it's very important for me to explain the reports and what happens. That's what's happening throughout the year or the month to my clients, which is a high level accounting review.
Okay, cool, cool. So that's typically as a year end, you give that information like at the year end or during
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's
or
actually, I try to do it quarterly, honestly, because it's you do things year end and things can get caught. It might be too late, and like it's just it's safer if you're keeping a closer look at things. So I would say at least quarterly, but in a perfect world, I would be speaking to my clients monthly. Like,
just
life happens.
so typically you do quarterly, but you may do monthly depending on the client, you say.
Correct, yes.
So I talked to the audience about bank reconciliations as just as an aside, or just a subset of the entire process. Why is that so critical? Why is that important? Reconciling your bank accounts.
Oh, because banks are not perfect.
Hmm?
And things get through all the time, that you might not even catch just looking at it by eye. So bank reconciliations is, going line by line, each transaction, matching it up to the penny. Oh, I do to the penny because that's just how anal I am. But you get to make sure that it zeroes out. It's so satisfying to me when things zero out. Like that you have to have that review once you get your bank statements to make sure that the transactions have gone in properly, that you didn't miss anything, that numbers weren't transposed, there were no duplicates. It happens all the time. Banks make mistakes.
Sure, sure, I agree. So I know we're talking some things, some conceptual things, that probably most people, the average person doesn't know, but these are really important things, right? Bank reconciliations, your P&L, your profit and loss statements, and so forth. With does everyone need to have? I mean, would you say every single business that exists, whether you're a startup or obviously if it's a big company, they would need bookkeeping. So let's say I just started my company yesterday. I
Mhm.
know how soon do I need to have my books like started? I mean, could I wait until a couple months from now? Since it's close to the end of the year, there's no activity. Why do I need books, or do I need books at that point? Or should I just wait?
Oh, that's tough. That's difficult because I want to say yes, that you need bookkeeping all the time from the beginning. But I do understand, sometimes people don't have the finances to pay for someone to look through it. So in those situations, that's when I would say to, hire somebody probably like on a quarterly basis, just to take a look at things, to do the reconciliations, to make sure that everything is in order, that your books are in order. Um, maybe not, maybe even like a high level review would be good if you don't have that much activity going on in your bank accounts or your credit cards. But it is important to have someone who knows what they're doing to take a look at your books
Right.
before you do your taxes, or you try to do anything seriously. It's really important to work with a professional.
I agree. I agree. I'm gonna get the tax part of it eventually, but um, so uh, so some people, and I'm gonna go into like another concept that the average person probably doesn't know of, but there's the accrual basis of accounting, cash
Right.
basis accounting. So let's say I'm a cash basis taxpayer. Can I just basically take my bank statement and just, okay, these are expenses on the bank statement. Okay, why do I need to do my books in that case? Because okay, this is like cash in, cash out. So you know what I mean? I take the bank statement. It shows my deposits. That's my money coming in, and it shows all the things I spend it on. Done, right? I mean, is that straightforward or no?
No, definitely not. And I don't even know that many tax preparers that would even do that. Like, I'm sure that they have their own bookkeeper that they'll probably be charging for, or they're outsourced to someone like me, because that's just not how it works. Just bringing your tax statements and then or bring your bank statements and then your taxes get done. It's not that simple. It's not that
Like,
every
like all
deposit,
your expenses.
yeah, it's not that every deposit is income. It's not that like every check is an expense. You also have your balance sheet accounts, which I'm like I'm using accounting talk, but that those things also need to be accounted for.
That's the beauty about you, right? Because you have an accounting background. You didn't just like learn bookkeeping by route. I mean, like you can just do that.
Right.
So a lot of bookkeepers, or some of them, I say a lot. Let me just not say a lot. I don't want to bash bookkeepers, but I'm just saying I don't want to sound like I'm bashing bookkeepers. That's not. I'm saying, like, a lot of people don't know the difference between an asset account versus an expense account. I mean, so they'll book something that's, I've seen this before when I was an auditor, by the way. I've seen this would book like a $15,000 asset as an expense, and then we would go and have to actually correct that, right? Because
Right.
the when we do our audits, we have to present those financials based on generally accepted accounting principles, right? Using generally accepted audit standards as well.
Right.
So we go and we basically, we account for the payables and account for the receivables. We recharacterize, expenses that should have been assets, all that kind of stuff. So I totally get what you're saying, but a lot of bookkeepers don't really get that. I mean,
Right.
although you should know that in some cases on the tax return, you can actually expense an item that's really an asset on the tax return. For your
Mhm.
thing is separate. It's a different
Right.
story. So
Right.
it's going to stay in your books as an asset that is depreciated over time. But for tax purposes, you can actually either take 100% depreciation, like bonus depreciation, or you can actually use section 179 deduction to take the entire expense. So that's
Mm.
not this is not the medium for that conversation. What I was saying,
Getting into taxes.
exactly, that's like a tax thing. But my point is that it can that can, but for the books, for the purpose of the books, it should still be on your books as an asset. So which is
Right.
what your point. So you're actually correct.
Yes.
I agree with you on that. So yeah, so tell us. I mean, I know we're going to the technical stuff. I know we're talking about like the debits and credits and the accrual method and all these different things, which most people just don't really know, and they probably don't even care about, to be honest with you. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Why should I or anyone else, and we touched on this a little bit, why is it important? Why is it like super, super important for someone to, do their books? Like why am I paying someone to do that for me? You know what I mean? Why is it important?
I think the best answer to that is to have a peace of mind and a layer of protection, knowing that things are being done the right way, the proper way, so that even, I mean, things happen. Like even the IRS makes mistakes. And say you get audited out of nowhere, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. At least you have someone who you can go to and you can say, can you print out or give me a report of my transactions from this time being audited? And that you have that peace of mind that if something happens, that everything is in order, that you're not scrambling, that you're being proactive instead of reactive. Because a lot of times people really don't even think about their accounting until they get a letter from the state or the IRS when it's too late. And then they want to hire somebody to just clean it up and fix it.
Right. No, you're right.
So,
They want you to like wave a magic wand and like everything just becomes perfect. You're absolutely
right. Like I don't want to deal with it. You deal with it. And if you have been doing this all along and you're prepared, then it won't be so bad and it'll save you money.
So I was gonna say, I'm sure in a situation like that, you would charge someone like very premium prices for
Exactly.
work. It's
Yes.
rushed and it's like a lot of stuff you gotta do in a short period of time. So, they're gonna pay a premium. So really, folks, I think she hit it on the head. I mean, you have to prepare your books, if for nothing else, to be prepared in the event of an audit by the IRS or state. So you're pretty much 50% there. She's right. I mean, you don't have to do anything wrong. You just could be picked at random. And if that happens, you want to be as prepared as you possibly can, so you can defend your position, the best way you can. Because if if there's an error and it was, it's not like you did it on purpose. You hired someone, you trusted that person to provide the service that they needed to provide to make sure you're in compliance. And if they're all humans. If something happens, at least you'll see good. The service, I believe, that our service, meaning the IRS, would see that as good faith that you made the effort, you paid someone to do this for you. And if something shakes out to not be appropriate or incorrect, then you deal with that at that point. But if you're totally going in like blind, it's definitely not what you want to. And then you also get to save some money because you paying for the service over time versus paying all that money in one shot and at premium rates. So you don't want to be in that situation. So I totally 100% absolutely agree with you on that one, Erica. So yeah, so I think we touched on a couple of things. I think you eloquently explained why you got into this business. You love passion. You talked about the debits and credits, the little nuances that we have to deal with as accounting professionals and tax professionals. Now, speaking of tax, now
Uh-oh.
talk a little bit about
I don't like taxes. That's for
so
you.
yeah, this is true. This is true. So basically, you want to, really what someone watching this video should get from this is having proper books will help you get a tax return prepared effectively and efficiently. Would you agree with that?
Yes, definitely.
So that's the way to do it. Make sure you have your books, nailed down. Make sure that you account for every penny because you don't want to. What you don't want to also do is, from a tax standpoint, miss a penny and then lose a deduction. You don't want to do that. So another reason you want to have your books done and have it done, correctly, to the best of their ability to the person that you've entrusted to do so. So, yeah, so I won't go into the tax conversation because I know that's not your thing, that's not your lane, and you don't like taxes. So that's fine. So you'll stick with your lane, and that's why you're so great at what you do, because you stick with what you love, you're passionate about it, and that's it. So I don't know if you want to talk a bit about your different businesses. What's the difference between the number grinder and the Ecube network accounting? I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that before we kind of.
Sure, yeah. So the number grinder is my bookkeeping accounting services that we do them for cannabis businesses. So anyone who is in the cannabis industry, I will do their books under the number grinder. And that is special because they have completely different tax rules. Is the IRS code 280E that doesn't allow cannabis businesses to deduct normal business expenses.
We don't talk about taxes though.
I know I'm not talking about tax. I'm just saying that's the big difference.
Okay, yeah.
I just always, I feel like as a cannabis accountant, I always have to talk about 280E. That's like my plight in life. but no, this is not going into taxes. It's just that's a very, so if anybody has cannabis businesses and you're speaking to a accounting, bookkeeping professional, and they don't say anything about 280E, go talk to someone else.
Right?
Yeah, because it's very specialized. It's not the same. And Ecube Network Accounting is for my non-cannabis businesses. I actually have a nonprofit. I have someone who's in the healthcare industry. I have a telecommunications company. I haven't niched down on that one yet, but those are my non-cannabis clients on the Ecube Network Accounting end of it.
Awesome. Yeah, so listen, I think you gave us a lot of good information today that I'm sure people are going to love to hear once we post this video. But before I end the video here, the chat here with you, tell us where people can find you. They can reach out to you by email, snail mail, carrier pigeon. I don't know. How can people get to you, Erica?
The best way to reach me is email Erica at the number grinder, and that's ERICA at thenumbergrinder.com. I'm also on Instagram and on LinkedIn, Erica Edwards. So you can find me there. My website's under construction, but should be up soon.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for granting us the time to speak with you, and it's been a very good conversation.
Yes.
We're learning about you and your business.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely, no problem. Like another time, we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Okay, or I can ask you questions.
You can. That's right. That sounds good to me. So, folks, you heard it from the lady that owns the number grinder and Ecube network accounting. An outstanding professional providing great service to her clients and maybe one day to you. So check her out. You have her email and her other contact details. I'll basically be signing off by saying I am Wayne Scully. I run W Scully CPA PC. I do tax prep, tax resolution, and tax planning. So if you know anyone that has a need for any of those services, feel free to reach out to me. That's like a tongue twister right there. Feel free to reach out to me. My number is 718-938-4601. And you can look up my website, www.wscullycpa.com. Okay. And email me, waynescullycp@gmail.com. That's my email address. All right. So, folks, it's me signing off. Again, thank you so much, Erica. Have a great rest of your day. Catch you next time. All right.
Thank you. Okay.